and also gave you some ideas of what we call centering and some of the tools we can use to center ourselves. Now, my job is to tell you about the 3 Ps we developed. 3 Ps: pattern work, problem work, and process work. Now, this is work. This means you work mentally, work at your mental state and your psychological state to give mental resilience. And of course, when you are shaken, you are thrown off balance, these tools will at the same time get you on balance again. So first, I would like to talk to you about pattern work. Now, patterns of our life. Now, many things happen to us, events, good, bad, and so forth, but we all take it as stories in ourselves. There are good stories, bad stories, small stories, big stories, stories we tell to ourselves, stories we tell to others, and often stories we self-talk to ourselves so that our behavior, our thinking, our thoughts, so forth, are actually reflections of all these stories. Now, how did how does it all come about, you may ask? And this is like any other story. So first, you must have events that unfold. And of course, we talk about salient events, things which strike, not normal eating or sleeping, but things that happen, okay, relation to others. And it happens over time. And then, of course, there must be employment. You employ to convey, there must be meaning, motive, causality. So it's a theme in it. So stories are, of course, linked to your life space of you. And if I ask any of you here, come up here and tell me, okay, tell me in 3 lines your life story. Just 3 lines, no? Of course, you tell the story to suit the audience. Now, if I ask you to tell the story to somebody else, you'll be telling me a different story, and so forth. So actually, we have many, many stories. But actually, what are these stories that, what are these various stories that are important to us? Okay, now this slide. Well, actually, it's a very bad slide. Very busy slide. You can't convey that, but it's meant to be. Yeah, I purposely did this way because life is very perplexing, confusing, and we have many, many things happen in our life, many life events, positive, dark ones, and so forth. And often we think that life, oh, this part is very good. I was very happy, this part of life, and now I'm very sad. But actually, if you think about it, it's not true. Now, Rick Warren, the famous author who wrote The Purpose-Driven Life, he just said recently that, life is not like hills and valleys. He believes it's kind of like, well, 2 rails on a railway track. Good things, bad things happen all the time, and it's how we look at it. So, as if good and bad things, and we take them on as stories. But then you may ask me, why are there 3 flashing things below? Why are dark holes so prominent, why does it catch our attention? Well, you may say that, it may be evolutionary protective. You may say that, okay, the burnt child dreads the fire. We have to learn to protect ourselves, and therefore we have to learn from it. But often so, we have learned too well, and the pain and all the sadness is also ingrained in us that that becomes a dominant story, and it becomes our what we call a problem-saturated story. And it's, something happened, and it links, and there's a theme, and it goes on and on. And we tell ourselves, well, there's us, there's our life. We meet with each of us. Definitely we have met with some problems of life. And maybe was it some lost love, or lost opportunity, or lost whatever it is. But then we allow this sort of stories to rule us. And they define not only our present, but our future. And sometimes we can talk about some things that happened 30, 40 years ago and feel it as it has happened today or yesterday. And that's a problem many people are facing. So how do we handle it? Now, stories. So if a story, we can actually look at it and rescale the events. Is it really that black? Is it gray? Is it nothing at all? Then we can reconstruct the links. Is this really linked to this? Is this the same magnitude? Is it the same story? Or is it a different story? Maybe little small bad stories, but they are not linked, no? So don't confuse them. And so we now begin to demolish the PSS, problem-saturated story. And this is an exercise that we sometimes must do. Of course, you can get the help of trained people, counselors, and so forth. And when same time we demolish the stories, the PSS, we should look for stars. Actually, there are a lot of stars in our life. It's only that we don't see it at the time. Well, you may say that, well, I should have married that girl. She was so nice to me, but I didn't consider her because I was too caught up with lost love. I was pining away. But you say it, remember it and find stars, not from a point of regret, but from a point of learning. We learn as we go along to say that, okay, well, that's it. That's a preferred story. My preferred story is that I'm not that out of sorts, but then I'll learn. And from now on, I will not do that. Let it hit me again. And another thing, of course, you can create stars. Each of us can create stars, whatever it is, every day. And here are a few points that tell you how to create stars. Okay, number one, well, write down, good things happen today. Maybe this talk is one. Tonight, rejoice in it, okay? Secondly, gratitude, visit, and thanksgiving. Well, thank your son, your children, your spouse for something that they have done for you today. Say it today, that's all. Simple. Or thank a colleague for whatever it is. Positive responding. Now, maybe we are Asians, but we are very, reticent. Be visible about it. Go back this afternoon, and if you're in a serve tea, thank you, Assoc, your tea lady, by name, so-and-so, for giving me, as usual, very good tea, or something like that. Positive responding. And, of course, the other things are remember your strength. You may have not a strength now, maybe with your spouse, but at least remember what you have had, and now use it in a different way. You may not be able to use the same way because your time goes, has changed, but don't pine about it. The problem with it is that people say, oh, I used to be able to do that, and I can't, so they get depression and they feel angry. Well, you can't do that. You can't, you got paralyzed and you lost your use of your left hand, but you're right-handed. Why don't you use the strength you had? You're a good painter. Why don't you paint now? You can't run, obviously, because you got a stroke. So use it in a new way. And this is empirically proven. Just do it. Just do it. And relive the preferred story. The story you prefer, not written for you. So with all these materials, then we come to the 4 R's. The 4 R's, remember the 4 R's of creating stories, okay, of the pattern work. First R is authoring. Now we want to re-author the story, your preferred story, for many stories you have. Of course you have many stories, but you want that preferred story, and you do it with authority, because you are the only one who can create a story for yourself. You are the author, and you have the authority. Same thing, like what this famous Dr. Sir William Osler did. He's creating therapeutic stories with this child, and what she's doing is he's using these dolls to externalize the black holes. Meaning that take it out, take all the dark holes, your qualms and your whatever it is out, and let it see light, and let's talk about it, and let's think about it, and so forth, and examine it. And maybe it's not so black so dark or so black now anymore. It may be dark or black at that time, 30 years ago, but it's not now. And the trouble is that mind can't tell the difference. If you keep it, if you're doing the self. Of course, we identify overlooked stars, and then we find some theme, and then celebrate the story. So this is reauthoring. Next thing is members of your club of life. Remembering. Okay? Remember to remember. Okay? So you identify things which create trouble for you, whether people or things or whatever it is, or things that, and somehow still affecting you. So you have to examine, how is it continues to enslave you? How is it still has such an impact on you? Why does it still make you feel bad? And then, of course, you have to move to remove that member from the club of life, sack the member, expel the member, remove even if it's life member, just remove him. And then, of course, we have to remember. There are so many people around which are deserving members of the club of life. Why not make them the club of life now? And not think of the old member who used to be important, but I think you just remove them. If you think of it that way, you may say it's very simplistic, but I think you have to think of it that way, you probably can create the story for yourself. And lastly, reframing. Now, this George Lakoff is a professor of linguistics from the University of California at Berkeley. He wrote in a book, Metaphors We Live By, he says that metaphor is not an ornamental flourish of language, but an essential part of thought. So we think with metaphors. And the ordinary conceptual system of which we both think and act is fundamentally metaphorical in nature. One of my clients, a student, he was in total distress. He was asunder. The parents were was in the verge of divorce, and she couldn't do her schoolwork. She was failing and so forth. And after talking to her, I found out that some of her problems were because she thought of herself as the glue of the family. She says, I am the glue. I have to keep the family together. Otherwise, my parents will divorce and I won't have a family anymore. She says it's the glue. And because it's the glue, she got enmeshed and she got tied up and she couldn't do anything else. So I helped her to change her metaphor from glue to oil. Oil. Oil, you can lubricate your wheels of social interaction in the family. Oil. But if the oil is not around, and if things break, then it's not your fault. It's not the fault of the glue. If you think of the glue, it breaks, it's you. The glue failed. So it's very important what metaphors, and we can reframe the metaphor. And if you look at this picture there, this is called a bistable picture. Psychologists use it a lot. So what do you see? Okay, look at the white part, the white things. Okay, you see a vase, right? But now I want you to focus on the black part. What do you see? Silhouette of two persons. And if you are trained, you can flip both back and forth. So you have to train ourselves to flip back and forth and see situation, themes from various perspectives. And then we choose the preferred one. The one you prefer, not what is right or wrong, what you prefer. Okay, so this is reframing. And after we reframe, that means three P's, we reauthor, remember, and reframe. And after doing that, we must retell, we must make it live. So tell, retell, storytelling, story listening, story retelling, story listening, story thickening. And because we retell, not just by words, by the way, by actions, by emotions, and you tell yourself, self-talk, you tell your friends, and not only that, you can create ceremonies to retell. They call it, in the social anthropologists, they call it definitional ceremony. Okay? And you gain sense of meaning, identity, and pride by retelling the preferred story. So can we each have our preferred story? And can we collectively, as NUS, have a preferred story? So this is very important. So retell, the reauthored, remembered and reframed story. Okay, that's pattern work.